just want to say I appreciate my viewers out there. Not going to spend a whole lot of time talking today. We're just going to get things done because you didn't come on the YouTube channel except to get your job done. So, not going to talk you to death. There's no video that I'm aware of that covers the 2009 through 2015 Honda Pilot, the positive battery cable. I had an issue the other day where I was going down the road and the entire truck shut off. The radio acted up first and started popping, and then everything just went blank. And it was like basically I lost power and then it came right back on. And it was weird. It was almost like you would think people talk about EMPs. I found it very odd. But come to find out, the following night, I left work at 4 o'clock in the morning. I went to turn the key, and nothing happened. I mean, it was normal. I went to turn it over, and it was like you took the battery out of the vehicle. Come to find out that both the cables, the battery cable ends are messed up. Somebody jury-rigged them. I've had this vehicle for over 3 years, and didn't have any trouble up to that point. So now it's starting to act up. Some people can elect to replace just the end. In fact, it was suggested to me. I don't do that because this is what Honda uses for a positive battery cable. I understand this thing's expensive. This thing was $123 on Amazon for a Honda original cable. But I don't recommend just you can't replace something this complex with a battery terminal end that you buy at the auto parts store for $5. You can try that. You can try to jury rig it. In fact, this thing's jury rigged right now just to run for a couple days until I had time to make this video and get this cable from Amazon. So like I said, I promised I wouldn't talk you to death, so let's get into the job. Okay, Honda Pilot. You have to be able to access the cable, so that's going to be your first thing you're going to need to do. You'll need to remove these pins with a screwdriver, taking care not to break them because they get a little age on them, they can get fragile. So we're going to go ahead and take these two out. This just pulls out. The battery cable also routes around this air box, so we're going to take the air box out. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 8mm screws, and they come out. Mass airflow sensor, you don't unplug that. Get this out of the way, you'll see why here in a minute. But that long cable, I mean, this looks really intimidating, but once you start removing things, you're going to see it's not that bad. Okay, and I went ahead, took the air snorkel off. I'm getting ready to take this airbox cover off. Just wanted to pause, give you a little instructions here. You're going to be taking negative off. That's easy. Look how easy this cable is to replace with. Now this I wouldn't worry about. You can get this from an auto parts store pretty easily. I wouldn't replace just the cable end. I would get the entire made cable. I'm not going to go over that. This is really simple. It's a 10mm, and obviously you want to put grease on it on both ends to keep the corrosion down. You don't. I know a lot of auto parts stores try to sell you those felt washers. They may work, they may not. I'm not a big fan. Grease works just fine. Vaseline works really good. They even sell enamel spray paint that you can shoot on there, just something to give a little protection. The only other thing I need to caution you about is before you disconnect negative on this Honda Pilot, I've run into this, be sure you have the radio code. Get with your dealer or look in your documentation with the vehicle. And with the owner's manual, sometimes you have a radio. Owner's manual comes with the radio. There should be a 5-digit code, because when you disconnect this battery, that is going to lock up your media center, your radio, and you're going to need that 5-digit code in order to get it going again. Either that, or you'll have to take it to the dealer and get it straightened out after the fact. But I would go ahead and get that code ahead of time. Just give you a little advice there. Okay, next thing you need to take off is the throttle body intake there, the rubber tube. It's got a clamp on the back side. It's on the metal tube back there. Be real careful with this, especially you start getting some age on them, because you can break them. They get some dry rot. If it is dry rot, and obviously you're going to need to replace it. Probably not very cheap, but need to take a couple band clamps and a couple connections. Unplug the sensor on top of the throttle body right there. I'm pretty sure that's some sort of throttle position sensor. And mass airflow got tucked back. They go in these little parts on here. It's a little cold today too. I'm a little concerned sometimes with older parts. They can break. The reason I'm taking this out is because if you see, this is going down, and that's going down to the starter, and you're going to need to unbolt that cable, take the nut off of the starter lead, and take that bad boy off. The next connections, it's going to be a series of boxes. So you have a connection coming this way, and again you can look at your new one and see where everything's really got to go. You got one connection there. This other connection is a starter connection. When in doubt, use your new part to reference where things are. Then you know where to look on the vehicle. The last lead is right here. And it's going to run up and around. It's going to go underneath your firewall, and then there's a box over there. So basically you're just connecting a couple of boxes with power leads, and it's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and take this cable off the starter, see how that goes. Okay, I had to pull the battery to get more access, because everything's pretty straightforward. The only issue that I'm running into, and like I said, I'll figure this out so that we'll get some education on it, and then we won't get too afraid. But this cable, this lead right here, goes way down that hole. And you're looking at this and you're going, my gosh, man, how in the world am I going to get down there? It's going to the starter is what it is. The starter is way down in there. And one concern I had is those coolant hoses, because this is running, there's your cable right there, it's running underneath the those coolant hoses, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to drain the coolant to change a positive cable. I mean, if you did a starter on this, you wouldn't drain the coolant, I wouldn't think. So what I'm going to do now is go further. We're going to take this box out, and it's got 10mm screw right there. It's got a lead right there. It's got to come off, and then I'm going to take whatever bolts. I'm going to get these boxes out of the way in this metal bracket, and we're going to see what kind of access we get. I think we'll get all we need as far as room if I do that work. So let me go ahead and do that. Let's see how we come out. Okay, I've got this plastic box off. There was a 10mm there, and then there's two retainers. Where is it? You push this back and then pull up on both of them. You gotta have some patience so you don't break anything. And then you can just take this and flip it back, because that's your main wiring harness. Goes to your computer and stuff. I just don't touch that. Just push it off to the side, get you some space there. Two 10mm on his tin shield, and a little bit loose. Got one more. Yeah, back there. Okay, so we'll take that off. Then we'll see what kind of excess we got. Hopefully we have enough. But we're getting close. I'm not thinking we're going to take those coolant hoses off, so we're going to have to work around them probably, but at least we're making progress. So we'll get that metal out of the way and then see what we got. Alright, let me see if I can focus in here. That's what you're looking for right there. Let's give you an idea. There's your coolant hoses, right? And right there, you see, this is where you took your bracket off, or your plate off the battery box. And that's it right there. There is I don't know what size that nut is yet. I'm going to take it off. I'll tell you what size, but that's it right there. That's on top of the starter, and you need to disconnect that. And once you take that nut off, then you're going to work that cable off. It's pretty much loose already, and then you're going to feed the new one down in there and bolt it on. And I think that's the worst part about this job, really. I mean, is just trying to get that starter lead. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Go ahead and take that off, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay. Yeah, it's 13mm. And what you do, you got that rubber cable cover down there. You got to push that to the side and push against the coolant hose. I used a long 1/4 inch drive 13mm deep ball socket, and with an extension, and I pressed against this coolant hose as much as possible. And it's hard because these things, you know, they're older and they're a little stiff. They don't want to move so easy. But I just managed to get the socket down on the 13 and use some patience and just backed it off. And now it is, that lead will come off, and then now I just gotta back trace the cable, which is up here. It's already loose. You just take off the metal brackets by pushing that plastic tang and then lifting up at the same time. Again, you gotta just take your time with it. This is running underneath the the coolant hose. So I'm going to work all that out, and when you work it out, you'll see how the new one goes in. It's just the reverse of the removal. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we'll get the new one in there, and we'll go over the rest of it, which isn't really all that bad. I mean, it looks harder than it is. You just got to have some patience and work with it. But that's pretty much the job right there, is getting the battery out, right? Getting the box out of the way. Get as much of the metal removed so you can get down to that starter lead. That's the hardest part about this. The rest of it really is pretty straightforward. Well, let's continue. Okay, just wanted to point out something real quick I ran into. That clip right there, that was on the coolant hose. There's a vent tube right there, a very small rubber vent tube. You can see it right there. And it goes in that clip. And that clip goes over the coolant hose. Very carefully work that off and out of the way, because what you're going to run into, here's the cable, it's out. I mean, we're in good shape now. But there's this up underneath, and that is in the way. Once you take that plastic clip out of the way, then you get your fingers up underneath and you wiggle this around, and you'll feel that snagged up. It's being held on a metal tab below. You need to pull this plastic and lift up at the same time. and that will release the cable, and then you just pull it back and out. And okay, so I'm going to go ahead at this point. I'm going to put the new cable back in. We've already seen how it has to go. You're going to be routing it back in there. The new cable comes with all the new plastic snaps, so it just basically clips back into place. You're going to route it the same way the old one came out, and you're going to bring it up and around, and then you got to put this whole mess back together again. Then we're going to deal with the rest of it, which is along the firewall. But this is the hardest part about it. I mean, once you got this done, you're laughing. Okay, and just to wrap things up, in summary, like I said, you make your connection down here on this cable. It's a little 10mm screw, and then you route it. And like I said, if it's factory cable, to go back on all the retainers. This one I had to flip upside down, and it was cold this morning. It's below freezing out right now, so I'm going to wrap this up real quick, but that was real stiff getting that on there. Warmer weather probably wouldn't have been too difficult. If you have an SVCM lead, SVCM is used for disabling the VCM cylinder selection. If you have that lead, you're going to have to move it over and put it on your positive cable, and put a couple cable ties on it. That's it right there. And I'm not going to go into details on SVCMs. You can research that online, but you definitely, I'd highly recommend having installing that on your Honda Pilot to try to increase your engine lifespan. So all that's left to do, I've taken the old cable and taken it from the firewall and removed it, and this is the old one right here. And you go over to this block over here, you take this cover off, and there's going to be another 10mm screw underneath it. You'll see it. Take that out, and then just swap the cable. And then all it's left to do is just button it up. Take all your Christmas tree connections, and you snap them in the holes all along the firewall, and secure everything. There's a couple of them there, go in the brackets, and put your battery back in. And the only thing you got to remember is that when you go to fire it up, let it idle for a couple minutes. Let the engine relearn, the computer relearn idle, because it's been out of the vehicle for a little bit. It's going to need that time. Don't be in a hurry. Don't just hop in it and go. And your radio code. When you go to turn your radio on, it's going to prompt you to put a code in it. Be sure you have that available.